Hi everyone, welcome back. Thanks for joining us today. We've got a brand new story to share with you, so let's begin. Some betrayals cut so deep, there's no coming back from them. And trust me, I learned that the hard way. See, I always believed that when two people get married, it's because they share the same vision for the future. They might not agree on everything, but at the very least, they respect each other enough to be honest. Turns out I was wrong. So sit back, because this isn't just a story about betrayal. It's a lesson in knowing when to walk away for good. My name is Charles. I didn't inherit wealth, and nothing was ever handed to me on a silver platter. Every dollar I made, I earned through hard work, late nights, and sacrifices most people wouldn't even consider. I built my business from scratch, working tirelessly to reach a point where I no longer had to worry about money. And for me, success was never just about wealth. It was about creating a stable foundation for a family. That was always my dream. I wanted a home filled with love, laughter, and the kind of warmth that comes from having children running around. I didn't just want to be a provider, I wanted to be a father. When I met Mira, I thought I had found the woman who would make that dream a reality. She was beautiful in every way. She was confident, independent, and full of energy. She carried herself with an effortless grace, and we clicked instantly. Conversations flowed easily, and there was an undeniable chemistry between us. It didn't take long before I knew I wanted to be with her. Early on, I made it very clear what I wanted for my future. I told her how much I valued family, how important it was for me to have children, and how I envisioned my life centered around a strong, loving household. She never objected. She never told me she didn't share that dream. Instead, she smiled, nodded, and let me believe we were on the same page. Looking back, I realized she never actually said the words, "I want kids too." But at the time, I didn't think to push for clarity. When someone doesn't object to something that important, you assume they're on board. And I assumed that we were aligned. Not long after, we got married. It was everything I had hoped for, at least in the beginning. Mira enjoyed the benefits that came with being my wife. The comfort, the security, the ability to travel and live without financial worries. She embraced the lifestyle without hesitation. While I was planning for a shared future, Mira was simply enjoying the present. The cracks in our marriage weren't immediate, but looking back, I can see exactly when they started to form. After the honeymoon phase, Mira began pulling away. At first, she dodged conversations about having kids. Before we got married, I was clear I wanted a family with children running around. She had smiled and nodded back then, never once saying she felt differently. But after the wedding, any time I brought it up, she would either brush it off or act like I was annoying her. "Let's not rush into things," she'd say, or, "Why do we have to talk about this now?" If I pressed further, she'd sigh like I was exhausting her, roll her eyes, and find an excuse to leave the room. It was avoidance. But I didn't want to believe it at the time. Then came the distance. The small, everyday gestures of affection started disappearing. No more playful kisses in the kitchen while I made coffee. No more random hugs or reaching for my hand when we walked together. At night, she would roll to her side of the bed, putting a physical wall between us. At first, I asked her about it, thinking maybe something was wrong. She always had a reason. She was tired. She had a headache. She was just stressed. But the excuses never stopped. Weeks turned into months, and I realized I had become a stranger in my new marriage, someone to talk to when she felt like it, but not someone she really wanted to be close to. What made it worse was that, while she pulled away from me, she threw herself into her own world. She started taking more trips, always with new groups of people, some from work, some I had never even heard of before. "It's just a girl's trip," she would say, but the invitations were never open to me, even if I wouldn't have time to go. She made decisions without me, too. She changed the apartment decor, bought expensive things, and even made career moves without so much as a conversation. But when the credit card bills came, that was still my responsibility. She still enjoyed every luxury I provided, never once hesitating to spend the money I worked hard for. The worst part? If she had yelled, argued, or even admitted she was unhappy, maybe I would have understood. But she didn't. She just lived her life like she was single, while I was left playing the role of a husband in name only. The marriage wasn't a partnership anymore. It was a transaction, one where she took and I gave. And the more I gave, the more I realized she didn't care. One evening, I was just looking for a pen. But when I pulled open the drawer, my fingers brushed against a folded piece of paper wedged between old receipts and miscellaneous junk. I don't know why, but my gut told me to look. My eyes scanned the words, and for a second, they didn't register. But then I realized that this is a medical document. A recent abortion procedure. She was pregnant. She was carrying my child. And she never told me. She made the decision, went to the clinic, signed the papers, and had the procedure, all without a single word to me. My mind raced, trying to piece together how long. How many nights had we sat at the same dinner table while she kept this to herself? How many times had she kissed me goodbye in the morning, knowing she had already erased what could have been our child? This wasn't an accident. This was a choice. And she made it without me. She knew I had dreamed of being a father since the day we got married. And now, in one calculated move, she had destroyed that dream without so much as a conversation. She never intended to have kids. She never intended to build a life with me the way I had imagined. She had just strung me along for years, letting me believe in a future she had no intention of giving me. I felt used, humiliated, like a fool. I had to confront her. I needed to hear her say it, to see if there was even a shred of remorse in her eyes. When she walked in that night, I held up the paper, my voice tight with barely restrained anger. Why? That was all I could manage at first. Why didn't you talk to me first? Why didn't you even tell me? She barely glanced at the document before rolling her eyes like I was overreacting. And then, with a voice so cold, she said, "I am not your slave. I decide what I want for myself. My body, my rules." I stared at her, my mind struggling to process how easily she dismissed the life she had erased. She didn't apologize. For a moment, rage blurred my vision. But then, just as quickly, reality crashed down on me. If I let this anger take over, she would win. I knew the game. If I raised my voice, she'd twist it into aggression. If I showed my fury, she'd play the victim. If I even so much as stepped too close, she could turn this into something that would destroy me. So I did the only thing I could. I stepped back. Soon, she'd realize she had no control over what came next. I nodded once. "Okay," I said, my voice disturbingly calm. "Your body. Your rules." If she wanted a life without me in it, I'd make sure she got exactly that. If I filed for divorce the traditional way, I'd be dragged through the courts, forced to fight for assets I had earned on my own, and possibly even end up paying alimony to the same woman who betrayed me. The system wasn't designed to protect men like me. It was designed to punish us. So, I had to be smart. I had to be cold. And most importantly, I had to disappear before she even saw it coming. I started planning my escape. First, I needed legal protection. I didn't just find a lawyer. I hired one of the best in the game, a specialist in high-asset divorces who knew exactly how to make sure I came out untouched. We worked in silence, filing the divorce in a state where men have the upper hand, ensuring that by the time Mira was even aware of what was happening, it would be too late for her to manipulate the system against me. My lawyer helped me move my assets into accounts and trusts that were legally protected from divorce settlements. Every joint account we shared was frozen, cutting off her access before she could drain anything out of spite. If she wanted to take what was mine, she'd have to fight a losing battle in court, without my money to fund her legal war. The timing had to be perfect. I waited, watching her routine, knowing that another one of her so-called girls' trips was coming up. The day she left, I set everything in motion. Movers came in and cleared out my things from the house, my clothes, my documents, even the smallest personal items. I shut down my social media, changed my personal phone number. By the time she returns, I would be gone. I will be in another state with a new address, a new life, and no way for her to find me easily. I didn't leave a message. Why would I? My lawyer handled everything, which was part of the plan. The moment she got back, she would have found the divorce papers waiting for her. She would have realized the accounts were frozen, but legally, she couldn't touch anything. Everything had been handled before she even knew what was happening. No more credit cards funded by me. No more luxury at my expense. Could she have tried to sue? Maybe. But she'd be suing a ghost. I had already moved to another state and set up my finances beyond her reach. She could throw a fit, cry about how unfair it was, but the reality was simple. She made her choices, and now she had to live with them. Even if she filed a case, my lawyer was top tier. I wouldn't even need to show up. He had prepared for every possible angle she could try. There was nothing left for her to take, nothing left for her to claim. She could scream and fight all she wanted, but in the end, she'd be standing alone. Will she try to find me? I don't know, and I don't care. There is no way to track me down. If she wanted to fight legally, she'd be burning money on a case she was guaranteed to lose. Will her friends, who she spends time with, stick around? Doubtful. I always suspected they enjoyed the lifestyle I provided more than they cared about her. They were around when there were trips to take, fancy dinners to enjoy, and gifts to collect. But without my financial backing, I imagined most of them disappeared. People like that don't stick around when there's nothing left to gain. How will she cope? I'll never know. Maybe she rebuilt her life. Maybe she struggled. That wasn't my problem anymore. All I knew was that I was free. No more one-sided love. No more broken promises. No more being used. I had given her exactly what she wanted, her body, her rules. And I had taken exactly what I needed, my life, my freedom. Starting over wasn't easy, but the freedom was worth it. I poured my energy into my work, expanded my investments, and reconnected with the things that made me happy, things I had neglected while trying to make an ungrateful woman happy. I focused on myself, my health, and my goals, realizing that I had spent so much time giving that I had forgotten how to take care of myself. Now, every decision I made was mine alone. And let me tell you, the peace that comes from being free of someone who only drained you, it's priceless. I don't regret leaving. Not for a second. I used to think love was about sacrifice, about patience, about working through problems no matter what. But the truth is, love should never feel like a one-sided obligation. I gave Mira everything, my trust, my loyalty, my resources, and she took it all without a second thought. She never cared about what I wanted, never considered that marriage was supposed to be a partnership. So, I made sure she would never get another chance to use me again. Some of you might think I was too harsh. Maybe you believe I should have confronted her, fought for my rights, or tried to fix things one last time. But why? What was there to fix? She made it clear, her body, her rules. So I made my own rules too. My life, my freedom. I walked away without a fight because there was nothing left worth fighting for. And I'll tell you this, if your partner takes you for granted, if they make you feel like an afterthought in your own relationship, don't waste your breath arguing. Just leave. Walk away and don't look back. What do you think about my decision? Was I too extreme for cutting all ties and disappearing, or was it the only way to truly move on from someone who never valued me? If you were in my position, married to a partner who dismissed your feelings, ignored your dreams, and made life completely one-sided, what would you have done differently? Would you have stayed and fought for a marriage that was already broken, or would you have walked away just like I did? I want to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below and let me know how you see this situation. And if you found this story interesting, helpful, or eye-opening, make sure to like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Maybe they're in a similar situation, feeling trapped in a relationship where they're not respected. Maybe they need that final push to realize their worth. Either way, your support helps spread these stories to more people who can relate.